Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, one agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the borough of Kings, live and direct.
Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at?
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
That's right. If Agent 70 sounds like he'll sing, "You'll never find," he's a little under the weather right now, so gotta kind of give him some grace, and of course, good wishes to him for a speedy recovery and all that kind of good jazz.
Yes.
You can find this here podcast on the Cold Slither Podcast Network. That's CSPN.US.
Do it today.
Look, he's leaning into it now. See there, ladies? Go ahead get some of that. You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, we got to have fun with it,
Absolutely.
when we can, folks.
Absolutely. We just need us a nice can of Colt 45 to go along with it and hold it up for the camera, even though we don't have a sponsorship.
Yeah.
But anyway, folks, since we are starting late, we're going to kind of rush right into it. Actually, but before we get into the books of the week, I know Agent 70 did say he did finish the last couple of episodes of Star Wars Visions Season 3, if you wanted to give some thoughts on that one.
Sure. Overall, my experience was pretty good. I felt like, though, I think the only letdown was possibly the last episode, but the last episode was very artistic, right? There was a theme involved, and it was very musical. It wasn't like, it's a bit of a stretch to say that it was Cowboy Bebop-esque, but it was definitely a little bit more experimental, as opposed to some of the relatively straightforward storylines and storytelling that we got in some of the middle episodes. Some of those middle episodes, I'm not going to call them out by number and name because I'm a little under the weather, and I'm not going back and digging into the episode guide, but I will tell you that I really enjoyed several of these episodes. And, on top of the ones that we've already discussed very briefly last week, that I was able to watch while traveling. So, it's just really nice to see these studios, these creators, even some of these voice actors get to play in the Star Wars IP sandbox. It's just really nice. Obviously, a lot of people are going to ignore this because it's not technically the Skywalkers. It's not even the Mandalorian. But I think it's very much worth your time. It's worth everyone's time to watch these and just have fun with what you're seeing on the screen and what you're listening to, because people put a lot of effort into this, and the final products are really outstanding. So, I give the Star Wars Visions folks a lot of credit for coming at this, both barrels blazing.
Yeah, agreed. As I said last week when we talked about this, like putting an anime spin on almost any franchise can do some wonders. Giving people creative license to kind of play in it in a way that the live action and the canon stuff is not always allowed to, even though they have started kind of branching out just a little bit with stuff, here and there that tends to end up being fun. But yeah, this little side take here was pretty good. Even the Tales of stuff has some gems, with that stuff that they do. So it's nice to kind of have that and to be able to do that one and to, by some at the very least, get accepted, even if it's not by the certain part of the fandom, I guess. Which granted, luckily that number is smaller and smaller by the day, because I know there are people who like anime and like Star Wars, and that the Venn diagram is not necessarily a figure 8.
Right. There's some intersection there.
Yeah. So it gets more accepted than not. So it's a good thing. I did not get a chance to watch the last two like I thought I was going to, but I went to. But we won't need to necessarily go over. You'll
enjoy 8. You'll enjoy 8. You'll still have a treat watching 9, but you're definitely going to enjoy 8. I think that's my opinion.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Like I said, I haven't had any real complaints about the ones that I did see, so I don't expect to have any coming out of it. And like I said, and the other thing is it's going to have me do is go back and watch season 2 over. Season 2.
Right.
I was going to say over again, but just actually watch it, just in case. But still, or even watch all 3 seasons. I don't know. They're not that, I mean, obviously it won't be in one sitting, but it'll work out one way or the other if that should happen. And in Japanese, because it didn't do that. So
right, I'm still watching it all in English, which is wild. I should probably rewatch it in Japanese just to hear what it sounded like.
Yeah, but at the very least.
Right, but I think the fun part about listening to it with the dub is that you get to hear actors who you're not expecting to hear, and then you'll recognize like the slightest bit of their accent or their intonation or their affect, and you're like, wait, I know that name, I know that voice. Like, I'll give you. Did you watch the episode that had? I don't think you did, or you might have. You might have.
The only ones I did watch was the last 2.
Right. No, but I'm trying to remember because I don't remember which episode the one I'm thinking of came in the sequence. But you wouldn't know this actor because I don't think you watched the Wednesday show on Netflix. Right. One of the actors on the Wednesday show shows up as one of the main characters in one of the Star Wars Vision shorts, and I recognized her voice. I'm like, wait, that's, and sure enough.
Okay, cool. Do you remember what that episode was about?
Yeah. It was kind of not a parody, more like a parallel telling of Luke, Han, and Obi-Wan getting off of Tatooine. Definitely the story of a smuggler.
Oh, okay. That was one of the last 2 then. Okay. Because I didn't want to watch that one. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. And I only know that because I remember I remember the names of or the names of a couple of them anyway. Not all of them. And I know those were the last 2 that I had not watched. And that one was one of them.
Right. So that was probably episode 8.
Right. So. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely check that out then.
Yeah, like I'm only skimming the surface on that one, so
yeah, no doubt.
You're definitely not spoiled too badly.
Oh yeah, no, it's cool. And like I said, you kind of figured there was going to be some kind of playing like that, especially when that first episode, which was basically which was a continuation of a season 1 thing, kind of had the Ewoks thing going on, but just in a different setting. So it's like, yeah, they're still. They're still playing in that universe in the ways you expect them to, And that other one with the kind of Leia-like character, but not really. With the mech suit or with the X-wing.
Right.
So things like that. So they kind of mess around with. So, and that's all cool. But That being the case, we are going to move on to the books of the week, starting off with Transformers number 26.
Alrighty. Transformers number 26, published by Image, is written by Robert Kirkman, with art by Dan Mora, colors are by Mike Spicer, and letters are by Russ Wooten. This is, we're literally right into the second issue of the Robert Kirkman era on Transformers, and we're talking about getting a slightly new status quo because everyone's having a chance to regroup after the big fight, that culminated in issue number 25. So both sides are getting a chance to regroup. To differing, with differing effects and to different extents. There's a surprise change in allegiance in this issue, and there is additional activity on Cybertron, which could be seen as treasonous, but we'll see how that all plays out going forward. I'll pass it off to Roddykat for his thoughts.
Yeah, that whole changing of allegiance thing, which I am sure is probably temporary, is kind of amusing, or what seems to be the changing of allegiance so far because of what happened in this issue. Was like, I guess you could kind of say you saw that one coming, in a way, because the character started out one way and was like kind of up in folks' faces and whatnot. And of course, them being adversaries, you kind of expect that, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? the attempts to kind of calm them down and then get them to at the very least cooperate in the ways I guess in the one way, because obviously the person you expect to be the calming voice of reason did a job this time, because everybody else was pretty much like, either one way or the other. So that was kind of a thing. But also reasoning because of something that I hope we're going to find out what actually happens was mentioned at the Chronicles, because we know a certain thing happened, got a half a dozen issues ago, that left the Autobots home not where they left it. And now it came back, and because of that, something happened, and we don't know what it is just yet, but it got one Decepticon really tweaked out. Also, it was kind of funny that self-same the Decepticon did a Hulk thing, but like I said in my notes, you know what? Given their namesake, it makes sense. But yeah, like I just said, like, yeah, it's kind of a rebuilding. We're kind of in a rebuilding phase. We still get some stuff going on though, because, let's just say some mask adjacent things starting to happen.
Is that where that's from?
That is definitely where that's from. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have no idea, because that's where they lose me a little bit, because I'm like, wait, who is that?
Oh yes. That person is known to cause some, and people will know when I say this, mayhem. Mm-hmm. But also, I'm still convinced that there is a certain G.I. Joe adjacent person that is in here that I still think it's not that person. I am not yet convinced that it's just not them, even though we have seen them in G.I. Joe proper, but they don't talk like they talk here. Oh, actually, no, I take it back. I don't know if we have seen them in G.I. Joe. We've seen Hawk, definitely. Maybe I'm conflating the two, but which I've done in the past anyway. But I still believe that person is not the person they're letting themselves also be, and the Cybertronians wouldn't know. Right. It's the person we talked about last week, who's known for doing stuff like that. That's all I'm saying. Might be some shades of Fortress Maximus coming because of a conversation they're in. And then, yeah, like I said, we get people kind of helping out and some stuff here and there, and we do see the humans, our adjacent humans here, helping out the way they can. Even Shredhead, not human,
Shredhead.
who is getting his bondings in, I guess. While things, like Agent 7 said, things were going on Cybertron, and we found out that at the very least, there are some Autobots that are in very bad shape, and one that we thought was a lost, apparently is still around kicking. Because the last time we saw that Autobot, he was getting shot in the face, and we thought he was dead. And apparently that's not the case. So good. So that's good. So I guess they didn't decide to. They decided to, not just.
They decided to keep him functioning.
They decided to keep half of those jokes focused, because those are all of those folks that were sitting there. Well, with the exception of that one, were G1, G2-ish. I wouldn't say G1,
Right.
but I guess if you want to count Perceptor of G1, I don't think anybody does, but because he was also in that pile. But there was definitely a few G1 folks that was kind of up there that we haven't seen. That I don't think we have seen yet, much less anywhere. So therein lies that, and of course the ones that are found on Earth that are probably gonna get patched up at some point. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and it's neat, as I say, not to, just to keep going on this. It's a good read as normal. There was also a bad pun based on one of the people that I'm referencing in the back of the book, behind the letters page. And if I said the name, then it would definitely give it up. But yeah, good issue. Still, we have stuff to look forward to, and also, I'm just going to say that while the cover, if you're watching the video version, the cover doesn't necessarily happen the way that is. I mean, it does happen in a way, but not with the character that is doing the action.
Right.
But that person on the cover, or in front and center on the cover, let's just say his empathy is probably going to get the better, going to come and bite him in his ass, as it tends to do.
Right.
Which leads me to this little thing. If you're watching the video version, check out the shirt I got on.
Oh, nice. Optimistic Prime. Love it.
Everything's going to be okay. It ain't. It probably ain't. But that's Prime for you folks. And with that, we're going to move on to the next book that we have in common. We're going to go to some Space Cats with ThunderCats Panthro #1 one-shot.
ThunderCats Panthro #1 is published by Dynamite. It's written by Ed Brisson, with art by Dave Acosta, colors by Arancia Studios, and letters are by Jeff Eckelberry. So, Roddykat enlightened me in our pre-production meeting just before this show started broadcasting and recording that the characters introduced in this story are not original to the comics. They were, in fact, introduced in the animated series from way back when. Ultimately, though, this is part of the strategy by the ThunderCats team over at Dynamite Publishing to introduce these characters generally outside of the main series and then weave them back into the main series over time, giving them some space to roam, like a one shot or maybe a mini series to kind of stretch out their legs, as it were, and then kind of fold them back into the main story, the main plot lines that are being explored in the regular series. So, this kind of follows that particular trend, that particular trope. It's always heart-wrenching to see what looks like a newfound friend or long lost ally turned into something else. And that's the story that we get here. And I'll hand it off to Roddykat on that note.
Yeah, and it is not the first time that character has come at first blush in a certain way, but end up being the other. Because, like I said, even in, well, if I remember correctly from the original series, they didn't necessarily come on, or at least come in fully on the side of nice. In fact, like I said, I barely remember because it was a while ago, but there might have been some shades of some stuff that happened that was referenced here that might have been similarly aligned with some things they were doing, with something they was doing there. I don't remember that part. But also in the 2011 series, that this character also showed up in a similar way. Actually, weirdly and funny enough, in that one, they started it off as like, oh yeah, that character and Panthro were, basically friends in generals,
right?
In that particular instance, but they don't really necessarily, do that here, which is the case. So, but you could, as you read the thing, you can kind of tell if you are familiar with the character we're not going to even mention the name of. And their relation to the character.
God bless you if you're familiar with the character, because you're going way back. That's a deep pull.
Yeah, definitely. It's even deeper cut by the other character that shows up, because the other character only shows up in one episode. So that was an even deeper pull for this whole situation. But that being said, like I said, not to get too much into the Panthro pretty much goes on an adventure because he's like, you know what, there might be some other Thunderians out there, and I'm gonna go find them. And Tiger's like, you know what, want somebody to go with you? He's like, nah, yeah, we need y'all here, which kind of sets up the fact that he goes on his own adventure, which leads him into actually, technically, partially succeeding in a mission, but the last person, as I say in my notes, the last person he would have expected to see, that he runs into Chris. So, and I suspect, as Agent 70 said, and like we will know, like when they do these one shots, like, yeah, definitely the stuff, these folks are definitely going to end up coming back into the main book at some point, and they're just sowing the seeds here, just like in that Chitara book from last time. I'm sure that character that was introduced is probably gonna show up one way, shape, or form in that. And of course, Apex already has shown up previously. It's also making me think, just like with Gotcha Man, I'm kind of wondering if they're just going to go ahead and give everybody their own one shot. I'm almost thinking that is the case because, shoot, we've seen Chitara technically had 2 books. She's had a miniseries and another one shot. Panthro's got one. Bengali's had one. And of course, and Pumara just had one. So the only ones left out of the main crew are Tigra and the kittens. I mean, unless they do something with with Jaga, which I suspect that's just gonna be the through line through the main book for quite some time. So we shall see if that's the case going forward. I mean, it's ripe for doing stuff because it's with what they've set up here, so wouldn't be surprised. And plus, of course, they want to try to keep the irons on the fire for this. Of course, for these books. So yeah, of course they're going to do stuff like this, and it just makes sense. And again, if everything feeds back into the main book at some point, all the better. So. But that being the case, that was ThunderCats Panthro #1. We are going to move to our next book. This week is full of crossovers, by the by.
Yeah.
So this is going to be
I was reading a lot of licensed books.
For you,
for me.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's because you don't really read that many.
Right.
I usually do that. So, but yeah, we have a bunch of crossover this week, and I usually have my slate of licensed stuff, so that's not a surprise here. But we're gonna kick that whole ball off with Gargoyles Fantastic Four #1 one shot.
Alrighty, the Gargoyles Fantastic Four #1 one shot, published this time by Dynamite, is written by Greg Weisman, with art by George Cambadias and letters by Jeff Eckelberry. So I had to circle back to the Fantastic Four Gargoyles one shot that was published by Marvel about a month ago, because I noticed that Roddykat had read both and makes a note of that in his quickie notes in our show notes, which are available online for those of you who want to take a look at them. So you should take a look at our show notes that are attached to the podcast. And are they also attached to the YouTube, or just in the podcast?
No, yes.
So attached to the YouTube, you can take a look at follow the link and you can take a look at our notes. And Roddykat mentioned that it's basically a continuation of the Marvel one-shot. I had to circle back and read both, and I think it was helpful because I found myself reading the second one being a little lost when it comes to how much Gargoyles lore they're just glossing over and throwing everyone together in combinations, and using the Krakoan way of looking at things, like power circuits, creating combination attacks and combination skills that are produced when you take these different characters from different worlds and put them together. So, once I got over that part, and I just had to kind of accept what I was reading and say, well, you know what? This is probably what was happening in Gargoyles in later seasons that I just didn't have a chance to watch, or just don't remember because I just kind of glossed over them. But ultimately, I had a lot of fun. Seeing these characters written like this, kind of with a light touch, and I'm going to get to this week's Fantastic Four also, where we're both, I think, going to get to it. I think that there's a light touch that they tried to replicate in the Fantastic Four First Steps movie. I don't think they were 100% successful at it, but I feel like this particular era of Fantastic Four, especially with Ryan North and, Greg Weisman brings, kind of a similar countenance, a similar sensibility to his version of the Fantastic Four, to this book. And it just makes the book fun to read. It makes the FF, kind of like a fun group, as opposed to sometimes them being a little dour, or, kind of, I don't want to say sticks in the mud, but, you can kind of get where I'm going with that. So, but no, ultimately I'm going to pass this off to Roddykat, but I really like this book. I like that. I like how Greg Weisman is putting and combining these two particular groups.
Yeah, indeed. And I think the one telling line that encapsulates what Agent 70 just said is the one from the book that basically says, nothing is as important than family. You could also throw a Dom Toretto in there after that. Right. But you could see it all through the book, and even if that line wasn't even in there, you can tell that's kind of what they were going for. But this was definitely a fun book to read, and it is definitely a continuation of that FF Gargoyles one that Marvel did, who was written also by Greg Weisman, also, if I'm not mistaken. The funny thing about this issue, outside of the fact that, even with what Agent 70 said, there were some characters that showed up here that didn't even show up in that first crossover. It was like, okay, you knew that person was in the world, but it was like, they just popped up here. So that's kind of funny. And vice versa. There were some characters that showed up there, did not show up here, which, they were not necessarily plot necessary. So, why would they? But still, it is kind of a thing. And I guess the funnier still, one of the villains that show up here is a villain, or was a villain, of a person that showed up, made a cameo in that last book that on the Marvel side. So that's even funnier still. And they're, as I just said, noted, they are definitely, still going with the whole gargoyle reference in this issue with the thing. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's going to keep going. But
right, firmly tongue in cheek, but at the same time using some long underused characters.
Right. So yeah, so if you go into this one, read like I just already did, and readers like, wait, why did? Because the one thing you will probably ask yourself is, why did they just automatically know each other? Well, you read the first one, you'll find, you'll get that why, and even then, like they kind of hit ground running because it was like, oh, they just met and then just keep it pushing, which makes sense because then you would need probably another book to kind of, if you want to just establish for some stuff. And thankfully, you don't do the trope of them fighting, even though they almost did in that first one.
They make a joke about it too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So I was like, yep, that's good. They didn't have to do that, and just kind of kick the ground running. And FS Family, Gargoyles, from what I remember of it, even though I've probably watched first episode or whatever it gets me, and read the comic books of recent ones, things are all about family. So there's an actual connection there that's like, yeah, it makes sense for these two groups to be together. So the one thing that is actually the funny part is we get the appearance of a character who, while associated in ways with the FF, and is a very good doggo, I still didn't expect them to show up here. But, given what happened here,
I was about to say, that was a trope. That was something that Greg Weisman needed to put in just because they needed to have a way of moving them from
get a way out.
A to point B, right?
Mm-hmm. So that was like, okay, it's like, well, we know why he's here now. How are they going to use him? Because it was like they just threw him in there, and I was like, that was the funniest thing about reading this issue. It was like, I don't know, here's an incidental. I don't know. We ain't seen him with the FF proper like that in a good minute, but I'm just gonna throw him in anyway. It's fine.
Why not?
Yeah, don't worry about it. But what we have here is basically two things happening side by side that ends up coming together at the end of the book. Because on one side we have Ben and Johnny with a couple of the Gargoyles crew, Angela and Broadway, handling a long time Fantastic Four foe on one end, and that story kind of goes at the bottom of the page, while Reed and Sue and Goliath and Elisa and the rest of some of the other folks are basically just preparing to help them, but have an issue of their own end up happening back at the base with the thing. And of course, the kids, the FF's kids are involved because they think they try to take a matter into their own hands because they think their parents are not giving it the weight that they think it should, for reasons which makes sense given the character they're trying to help out. And it all, like I said, comes together and just makes for a very fun read that that you end up enjoying. And of course, it caps off by saying, hey, it's never the end, so who's to say they won't come back with another thing? But also, hey, it's already cemented now. Right. No pun intended for the Gargoyles part. But, but a fun read if you're a fan of Gargoyles, and even, who doesn't, I was going to say who doesn't know the Fantastic Four at this point, but there are some people, but I feel like people know enough of the Fantastic Four to be able to get what's going on there, whether they saw the movie or not. So if they're coming from the Gargoyles in, they're cool, they're good, and I feel like there's probably an overlap with people who know about the Fantastic Four and Gargoyles, to where you'll be all right with reading this book. So definitely potential click of the week, even though I don't think I put it in there, but still it is, for being as fun as it is. And with that, we're going to move on to the next book, which actually I think is is it our last book? It is our last book that we have in common, which is actually Fantastic Four number 5.
Alrighty, Fantastic Four #5 is published by Marvel. It's written by Ryan North, with pencils by Humberto Ramos, with inks by Victor Olazaba, colors by Edgar Delgado, and letters are by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So this is, I almost jokingly thought that this is like the obligatory Jed McKay issue because the Black Cat guest stars and, has a really fun appearance in the book. And ultimately, this is probably going to be my Kliq of the week because it just read like a fun adventure / heist, because it's the Black Cat.
Yeah.
You throw the Black Cat in and it's automatically a heist caper or a whodunit. And, it's a bit of a throwaway villain, but at the same time, it's still a pretty inventive way of showing that Sue is just as creative and just as intelligent and just as, good at deducing things, very much detective style as Reed in many aspects, sometimes even better. So this was definitely a showcase for Sue and her, deductive skills during the solve, like watching her and listening to her solving this particular crime.
Indeed. And let's not forget, one, as has been mentioned many times, and even in this book, she's a doctor. But also, let's not forget, she was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, sought out for that reason, not just because for her power. Well, probably originally for her powers, but still, they added more to that part of her time with whenever she's dealt with S.H.I.E.L.D. business. So,
Right. I mean, we kind of poo-poo her science background because of the flop that was the Josh Trank Fantastic Four movie, but it is part of the canon. It's just not emphasized very much.
Wait, is that where that came from?
Yeah, I think so.
Huh.
I think that's when they made her an archaeologist. They made her like a doctor of archaeology.
Right.
I think it is at that point.
Yeah, and that is their doctorate in this book. So yeah, I guess that was the case because I don't think I've ever watched that movie. Or that
right.
one.
I think that's where. I mean, I didn't watch it either, but if I recall, we were already doing the show when that movie came out.
Correct.
So I think that was introduced into Fantastic Four canon right around that time.
Wait, or maybe I did watch that. Was that the one with Jessica Alba, or was that the last one?
No, that's the one. That's the one with
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that was the one I did not watch.
Yeah.
Or
I haven't watched that either.
Yeah. So. Okay, and that makes a little bit more sense. And I get makes sense, and sure, why not? The stuff from the movies going back into the comics, it happens all the time. So.
Right. And listen, I don't recall if that's the first time it was mentioned. I think that's probably when it was emphasized. I think that's probably the best way to put it, because 5 will get you 10. That bit of background information was just picked out and emphasized for the movie, and then they re-emphasized it in the comic books.
Right.
So, if it may not have been in there when Lee and Kirby were doing the OG FF run, but it was probably mixed in there post that, maybe during the Byrne era, maybe after the Byrne era.
Right.
If Google and or Wiki, would help with like a specific issue site, you could see exactly when that was revealed in the comic canon.
Right. And for a long time, let's face it, Sue has been getting short shrift, even despite, her technically even ended up being the most powerful member of the team in a certain sense,
Right.
So good on it, because there's been plenty of times, especially back in those olden days, it was like, we got to protect her and this and that and the other, and she can only do so much and this and that and the other, and yada.
Right, and they still find ways to nerf her.
Right.
They're like, oh, can you keep this up? And they always have her saying, no, not forever, or something like that. And I'm like, come on, Sue.
Right. In fact, I believe that was a thing from they did that in Gargoyles Fantastic Four actually.
Yep,
So,
they absolutely did. They absolutely did.
So,
You
but
know,
yes,
they don't make her like all powerful unless they want to,
right. Yeah, unless the story
or the story needs her to be.
Yep, indeed. Which, plenty powerful in that as well. Even though Sarah sometimes is like, okay, her powers, you could, extensions of her powers have been given out to a point to where it's like, that should not be the case. I still don't think. Like, granted, this is comic books, and there's, at a certain point, science can only do so much to say that's how that could work. But there has been times it's like, I don't know if that's how that should even work. Matter of fact, something in this book, something in this Fantastic Four issue happens, and it's like, no, that's just, I just kind of had to wave it away. I was like, that's just a bending of light, and she just, okay, sure. But it was like, all right, that's sure. We'll let that one go. That's fine. But there are things in the past that just seems like doesn't seem like something she could do, But that being said, Felicia comes in, the Black Cat comes in and gives Sue a nice little mystery to solve. And of course, they both may have possibly walked away with a new friendship because of things, which is neat. It is kind of weird because you can see this takes place during the current time of Black Cat's book and what's going on in Amazing Spider-Man, as it is referenced in this issue. So that's cool. Right. But there was also another reference that was brought up, which I don't remember, but also not surprised by if it did happen, because there was a mention of a relationship between Felicia and Johnny. And I'm sitting here like, when did that happen? But also, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, not surprised
at all.
I feel like I vaguely remembered that.
Mm-hmm. So that is another reference that wasn't totally clear, but it was just like, that was just a side note that just happened. But like I said, they're basically trying to make Felicia happen, and I'm not saying that it wasn't worth it, because we have seen some really good Black Cat books in recent history. So I'm not mad at it at all. And this definitely seems like, and the reason why I can't speak for Age of 70, why it seems like a Jed MacKay book is because the way Jed MacKay, has been writing Felicia feels like it's been carried over in this book, despite the fact that it's, not been written by him. So Ryan North definitely got the notes proper, or it seemed like they got the notes proper for how Felicia is being portrayed in in recent history, in recent days. So nice and playful. So it works out pretty fine. And I guess G. Willow Wilson also, who is also writing similarly, because she's doing the current Black Cat run. So
right.
But yeah, that being said, I'm with Agent 70 as a potential Kliq of the week. But we shall see if it holds out to that being the case. But until we get to that point, we are actually going to go into rapid fire.
All right, rapid fire review time.
I ain't got time to bleed.
I was about to say, shout out to the current Predator movie that's in theaters now, because that's obviously where that first sound bite comes from.
And there's a book out this week might be based on that.
All right. First up for me is Batman number 162, published by DC. It's written by Jeff Loeb, with pencils by Jim Lee, inks by Scott Williams, colors by Alex Sinclair, and letters by Richard Starkings with Tyler Smith. This is the latest chapter of Hush 2. And Batman is facing off against the Bat family because Hush is pitting them against each other. Ultimately, though, this ends up in a twist with Batman possibly turning to his greatest foes as his best allies in his fight against Hush. That's where this issue leaves off. Next up is Spider-Man and Wolverine number 7, published by Marvel. It's written by Mark Guggenheim, with art by Kari Andrews, colors by Brian Reber, and letters are by VC's Travis Lanham. This team-up book consistently is fun, right? Mark Guggenheim keeps it fun, and Kari Andrews' art is so dynamic and, sometimes unrecognizable, because Kari Andrews' art is oftentimes very dramatic and almost even overly dramatic, but it is just kinetic and definitely, flows from panel to panel, page to page. The story here is a little wacky. There's a little bit of, dimension jumping here, but there's some in-joking going on, some very much some fourth wall breaking, and or just kind of knowing winks to the reader as, the dialogue is written, in dialogue, winks to the reader, that is. And, it's a lot of fun to read. It's fairly breezy, but at the same time, it's tempered by just wanting to look at the really cool layouts that Kari Andrews puts into the book. Last for me is Strange Tales number 2 of 4, published by Marvel. It's written by Jeremy Whitley with art by Bailey Underwood. Colors are by Jim Campbell, and letters are by VC's Joe Caramagna. So remember, I said earlier in this episode that I was going to try to track down Gargoyles and Fantastic Four, the 2 crossover one-shots. I think I'm going to try to track down these Strange Tales books as well, because the first issue was fun. I had to go back and read the first issue because I had not read it before, and when I saw number 2 was out this week, I realized that I needed to circle back and read them both. So I did that, and I appreciate them both for what they are, which is lighter fare, possibly geared towards a younger audience, right? More of a YA type book. But at the end of the day, the characters involved are favorites of mine, including Nico Minoru and and Spider-Gwen, aka Ghost Spider. So, you put these characters kind of up front. For me, it's like catnip. I'm in. I'll buy in. So, these stories have been very fun. There's plenty of Marvel action. I sound very much like Stan Lee, right? Marvel, all using all his quotable quotes and punchlines, and action in the mighty Marvel manner. That's lots of fun, lots of quips, lots of just great action involving characters that need more of a spotlight. Obviously, we already have an ongoing Spider-Gwen book, but we don't see Nico Minoru too much. And in that first issue, we actually get a cool little team up of Young Avengers and Runaways. Like a partial team up, right? Like a it's like a double date type thing. But one half of the 4 are Runaways, and one half of the 4 are Young Avengers. So it's pretty cool. So if you're looking for something fun to read, I had to Google Jeremy Whitley. He writes I think some of the My Little Pony books and some other books. So there's definitely some lighter fare in there, but ultimately they're pleasant reads. They're pretty fun to read. So give it that a shot. And that's it for me.
Yeah, Jeremy Whitley's written a few things. He's written Aquaman at one point in time, and I know there was a couple other books that I was reading that he was writing. But yeah, he's been around. I want to say you might have had something I almost got to this week, but no. Either way, yeah, I'm about to check out that Strange Tales book. 'Cause I saw the first one and I was like, that looks interesting, but I'll have to come back to it. That being the case, that's the stuff I didn't get to. But the stuff I did get to was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Godzilla, number 1 of, I'm not entirely sure. I want to say 4, but I haven't seen the issue count yet, so I'll have to find that at some point. It's not in... It's at least 3, that's what I'm sure, but I'm going to assume it's 4 in all. But it's written by Tim Seeley with art by Pharaoh Pei, colors by Luis Antonio Delgado, and letters by Brian Kolek. So, it is a crossover with the King of the Monsters and the Heroes in the Half Shell, as the name implies. So the reasoning why they would share any kind of universe is popped up here at first. And of course, it involves a certain clan of note in the Turtles universe and a mission that they have had throughout the course of their history in this particular version of the universe. But of course, in that clan, you have two opposing forces, or end up being opposing forces, and I was also say in this universe. So from what I remember from the cartoons, Hamato Yoshi was Splinter.
Right.
Well, in this book, and I believe in books of the past or other books that I have seen in the past, Splinter is not Hamato Yoshi, but the actual rat, his pet rat. That might have also been a movie thing that I think about as well, or the original movie thing, is if I remember it also. So that always throws me. The only reason why I mention that always throws me when I see that because I'm thinking cartoons and it's like, well, he is that, but no, that's not the case. That being said, we get a little bit of history of a mission. I mean, of something that the Foot is in charge of doing over the course of years, which leads to them, bringing up the King of Monsters. But then we cut to the present, where the Turtles, getting into a thing with Shredder and Kang's hench dudes of note. Y'all know the ones. I don't have to say the names. Who are after something that this visiting professor has. So of course, because of this confrontation, the Turtles end up protecting this professor, but also ends up finding out the current day goings on of some kaiju. One in particular is the one that is titled on the book, but we also find out who may or may not have who is behind what's going on with the kaiju, specifically the one particular one. And then, of course, it is the person that you might be thinking of who would be against the Turtles in this situation, as I haven't named them already. But in that, you find out that they have a nice new little wrinkle to their plan that will probably get enacted next issue, and it has to do with, of course, mutagen, but a certain type from usual. You can put the pieces together of everything I'm telling you until you piece together where this is going. But like I said, that's what brings the Turtles and Godzilla not necessarily together, but at least put them in a realm of meeting at some point. But before that, there is another kaiju that may come in and gum up the works in the Big Apple. That the folks are going to be dealing with next issue, and of course this particular kaiju might have a song named after him, or might have a version of MF Doom named after him. Let's just say, and then that's all I need to say. But anyway, it was an interesting read for that, and it was like, okay, that's a good way to make things somewhat plausible, quote unquote, in a comic book sense. So. We'll see where this goes for how many ever issues that it is going for. Next up, though, as this is supposed to be rapid fire, Batman Static Beyond #1 of 6, written by, oh dear, did I not put the credits.
The credits? You need it?
I'll get them in a second, but I'll just go ahead and while I'm doing that, I will just go ahead and say that, yes, this is a future meeting. This is in the world of Batman Beyond, and this is a meeting of Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis, and a grown-up Virgil Hawkins, aka Static Shock, As and then we get some Justice League folks. Superman shows up, Icon shows up, because basically what the crux of the story seems like is being Earth is being tested to stop me if you heard this one. Earth is being tested in order for them to join this galactic alliance. And in a similar way as a well-known franchise that definitely did a similar thing. Something about a warp drive that is being tested out here. That is actually was being made by Virgil, a grown-up Virgil, and funded by Wayne Enterprises, which is why those two characters are interacting with each other. But again, like I said, there's some Justice League of the future here. With some notable folks. You got some Big Barter here. We got a couple other folks. We have a Flash and some other folk that is also here. So, they're there. And Superman's here, like I said, and Icon is there for whatever reason. But from that, we kind of get what's going on in, New Gotham with Terry McGinnis and a couple of his people, because there's some issues going on. And of course, we get a little bit in Dakota with Virgil and his folks. In this world, but they don't necessarily meet back up yet after, or at least at the time that we're given with them. So, it's an interesting premise. Of course, we'll definitely end up checking it out for the long haul, as I am a fan of Static Shock. And in some small way, Batman Beyond. I'm not of the Batman Beyond peoples like some people are.
I am.
Yeah,
I am. I love Batman Beyond. I'm flipping through this book now, and I can't help but have the theme song rattling in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Like like that guitar riff. That's
right.
Pretty cool.
Right. So this is written by Evan Narcisse, which that name has been around. Of course, he was he's definitely a writer, because he's written for comic reviews and he's a journalist basically, and has written some Black Panther and some other stuff. Nicholas Draper Ivy, who's doing the art here. He's also written the previous Static Shock miniseries, so of course he would be involved in it. And then the art is striking as such. I think he might have even not necessarily did a hand in writing, but creatively had a hand in some stuff as well. And Will Cortana, I'm not sure what his role is in this, because that's all I can get off of what we have, because I'm not seeing the credits proper in the book. So that could be a thing because of our review copies. So I'm not entirely sure what other folks is in here, but if I get back to that, I'll bring it up later. Either way, still a good book. You should check it out. Like if you are a fan of those characters and seeing them together and whatever they plan on getting into with this crossover. Next up for me, 1776 #1 of, actually I'm not sure about this one either. But it's written by J. Michael Straczynski. There's a typo there. Pencils by Sean Damian Hill and Ron Lim. Inks by Jay Lyston and Robert Pogge. Colors by Alex Sinclair. And letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So this is, Marvel doing one of their, here's a date and time that we're going to stick these characters into. I was thinking that it was like 1442 and it was just going to be the characters of 1492 era, getting into what they get into. No, in fact, in a nice little twist, this is a long time Avengers / Iron Man villain, whom we haven't seen in quite a while at this point, actually, that I can think of. Decides to make some noise back in 1776. word gets had in thanks to a Sorcerer Supreme of that era to the Sorcerer Supreme of this era, and it is the one you would normally think of in that case, because I'm not sure when this is supposed to be set. But said Sorcerer Supreme calls forth a team with some familiar looking portals, and is the hitters that you would expect. Well, not necessarily you would expect, but it's some of the hitters that you would definitely expect, the more popular hitters of the universe.
Right. That's one way to look at it.
Yes. That we see in this first season. Because if you're watching the video version and you see the cover, it is basically part of the folks that are on here. Like there's a couple other people that are showing up here, going to show up later, but they do not show up at this point. So we have a team going back into the past to try to undo what is done, and they run into a triple. And of course, the one character that you would expect who would have some affinity with history is, of course, the one that is leading the charge on this one.
Of course.
It just makes total sense. So, and again, a hitter in his own right. So, it is an interesting start to the book, and I'm kind of curious to see where this is going. Although the one thing that kind of messed me up for a second, it was like, well, yeah, this person had a run-in with Iron Man, like, and it's true, which is true, and that it was referenced in here, but also, like I said, ended up being menacing, at various times, the Avengers as a whole, which you would think the one or two people, or at least one particular person that is not Iron Man would have been like, yeah, she's been a thorn in our side for years or something like that, but that wasn't the case. But the Avengers are indeed referenced here. It's just that it's like seemed weird to kind of omit that part and just make it into the, no, yeah, well, they ran in with Iron Man, which again did happen, but it was like, yeah, just leave it to that. It was weird. Anyway, that's just me nitpicking. Check it out if you're interested in it. And yeah, the last book that I'm not sure if I actually have I should have I guess I don't. Oh well. That I thought I had the cover for was the Thor Shazam #1 one shot. This is an Infinity comic that Marvel put out, and of course there is a one that, because they're doing those crossovers, continuing to do. It's weird that it's a Infinity comic and not a physical print, but
right.
That's another nitpick, because there's also another one that came out this week from DC, which was The Flash and Fantastic Four. Neither one of us had a chance to read it, so why we're not bringing it up outside of this. And that is the one that DC's put out, and that's free on their site, and we'll talk about that a little later. Or at least we'll talk about their continuing to do these things a little later. This was written by Al Ewing, art by Justro Morales, color artist Eric Arciniega, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So yeah, we have a nice little whimsy, I like to call it whimsy anyway, collaboration or meeting between Thor and Shazam, which starts out with a classic version of Thor, or his mortal form, I should say, again, is a mix. So that this is definitely not current era Thor that we're dealing with, but it doesn't really matter with these with these collabs. It's just like, here's a version, and then here's Shazam. And of course, Shazam comes in with a handout, and they're fighting a Shazam foe who has picked up some goodies from other mystical and powerful beings of both universes to go up against these two folks. And yeah, it was I thought it was a nice little fun read. I know Agent 70 said he also skimmed it. But
I'm going to have some issues with Al Ewing when I see him at New York Comic Con next time. I mean, I get it. But come on.
Yes,
not everybody's worthy.
Well, yeah, but that was not what this book was implying. But at least this other character, could be and should be, realistically. But yeah, so that is that, and that was what you heard from Agent 70's nitpick of this issue. But it was a fun one, and I enjoyed it. So if you have Marvel Unlimited, you can check it out. I don't know if they're actually going to do. I suspect they probably at some point will do a print version of this though, because sometimes the Infinite Comics do get physical printed. So, but that'll happen. And that is it for me. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and shortcut this. Fantastic Four #5 is mine.
I second that vote.
Which is the second time in 2 weeks. That's funny.
That's funny.
I mean, it was just a good fun read, and a nice little solo adventure with well, not necessarily solo because I mean Alicia was there as
it was a team up with between Sue and Black Cat with Alicia chiming in as well, so it was good.
Right, and ends up in a girls' trip, which was always fun. I hope we do see what happens there because I'm sure that was like that could be another adventure in itself where they get off on this thing and not get off on this thing. That was the wrong choice of word. But anyway, they go on this girls' trip thing and trouble ensues as things tend to happen in the world. Put it that way.
Right. I mean, what's funny about Black Cat is that they've done, serious work in making her, a very gray area character, where, she's basically gets along with Mary Jane Watson.
Yeah.
And now right. And now she's, on friendlier terms with Sue Storm.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're implying that she's definitely like a lighter gray as opposed to a darker gray character.
Right. Come in, cause a little chaos sometimes, but her heart's in her place. I wasn't going to say the right place, but sometimes it is, but it's just in her place.
Exactly.
And with that, folks, that concludes our Kliqs of the week. We are going to get into the news section, but first, an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Excuse me. Blue Apron. Fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron. Always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us, that's cspn.us, then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
Cinematic news. I definitely needed to pull that one. Sorry. Cinematic news as we do about this time, starting off with Avengers Doomsday trailer gets release date confirmed, or rumored to be confirmed, basically, because I don't think this article is necessarily confirming any kind of truth whatsoever. Or maybe it is. So there's been rumors floating around that the first Avengers Doomsday trailer will be attached to 20th Century Studios' Avatar: Fire and Ash. That's the blue people, folks, not the little bald kid and his friends. But Collider apparently is now confirming that Avengers Doomsday will indeed be shown before that Avatar movie, unless, quote, according to this article, unless that decision could change over the next month. Again, not full confirmation. It also says here that Avatar movie hits on December 19th of this year, so the possibility of whether that trailer is going to get attached to that, don't know. That's weird. Okay. But I guess we'll find out one way or the other. And also mentions Spider-Man Brand New Day in here, so there's just Rampant speculation. Next up.
Tony Dalton is returning as Jack Duquesne, aka Swordsman, originally in Hawkeye, but now back for Daredevil Born Again Season 2. He's reprising the role, and he opened up about the physical toll of filming, revealing he sustained a painful injury during production while speaking to comicbookmovie.com. So he revealed he did a bunch of action stuff for this next one that's coming out of Daredevil, and man, I got hurt hard. He added, I think I must have chipped a rib or something because for 2 or 3 weeks, I was in bed. I had bruises all over me. Ouch.
So I'm guessing we're going to get some actual swordsman action.
Yeah.
Out of that, which is still weird. Still weird. Anywho, next up, I don't know why I have so many articles from this one site. Apparently there's according to this article, an all-powerful Marvel character to return in the Vision Quest series. This is a rumor, so treat it as such because of where they got this from. It's a report from some person. I'm not even going to remember, not even going to put their name in here, but you can see it if you're watching the video version if you want to. Apparently Billy is in Vision Quest, and I feel like that's probably a known quantity at this point. Or at least it has been rumored to be a confirmed quantity at this point. So therein lies that. Anywho's, but yeah, it says here Billy is in Vision Quest, and if you don't know who it is, that is the Vision of Scarlet Witch's son, one of them, of which we have seen in Act All Along. So yeah, but also let's see, it will tease the Champions series and Secret Wars and Wanda's return, according to the quote from this article. Let's see, it says the Disney Plus series is confirmed at New York Comic Con as the continued story of WandaVision and Agatha All Along. It's going to be, looks like 8 episodes, and of course Paul Bettany is reprising his world as Vision, aka in this case Blank Vision or White Vision. Whichever you would, I always call them Blank Vision. But apparently the series is also going to have James Spader's Ultron, human versions of Tony Stark's AI Jarvis, Friday, and Edith, and new additions of Rurid Malika as Tommy Maximoff. So Speed's going to probably be in here. And apparently that role was confirmed at the New York Comic Con as well. So there you go. Next up.
Okay. Related news. Lauren Moraes and Diane Morgan, best known on TV screens for her comedy creation Philomena Kunk, have joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe as part of the upcoming Disney Plus series Vision Quest. So this is the third part of a trilogy that includes WandaVision and Agatha All Along. Yeah. We know it's been filmed earlier this year and is scheduled to debut on Disney Plus in late 2026.
I saw this article and I saw those two names, and before I read the article, I was like, are we getting Viv Vision? No. Just kind of hoping. Maybe we still are. I don't know. And it just had.
We might still. We'll see.
You know. Oh, okay. I need to put that in there real quick. But next up, 2027 Star Wars movie fulfills Matt Smith's destiny after canceled role, according to this article. Apologies while I do a little something here real quick. There we go. Thank you. So Sean Levi recently spoke about that the Star Wars Starfighters movie that he's doing, and apparently Matt Smith, who some folks may know of as a version of Doctor Who, excuse me. As well as some other roles that he's done that people may know of him about, it looks like he's finally going to be in Star Wars, because I guess he was up for another role in another thing, and that didn't happen. And it looks like he's playing the villain of this Star Wars Starfighter movie, or one of the villains in this Star Wars Starfighter film. So therein lies that. And from what I understand, he plays a fairly decent villain as well. So I guess that's good. And yeah, there we go. Oh, Aaron Pierre is also in there. I don't think we remember we got that. Who is playing Jon Stewart in the Lantern series, and a few other people are in here. But yeah, there you go. Next up,
V for Vendetta is making its return with a new adaptation coming from HBO. According to a recent report, the cable network is developing a new live-action series based on the iconic dystopian story by Alan Moore, with Pete Jackson attached to write and James Gunn and Peter Safran of DC Studios on board as executive producers. The V for Vendetta story first appeared as a comic serial written by Alan Moore and illustrated by David Lloyd. It debuted in 1982. DC took over publishing of it in 1988. Let's see here. Yeah, you guys remember, you know, the fans might remember V for Vendetta already having a successful adaptation in 2005. 2005.
Yep. With
seriously, 2005.
Yeah,
I'm too old for this shit.
Directed by James McTeague and written by the Wachowskis, starring Hugo Weaving as V and Natalie Portman as Evie.
I was about to say Agent Smith, starring role.
That's right. I need to rewatch that. It's been a while. I don't think I remember much of it.
I don't think I ever watched the whole thing. I may have seen clips of it. I don't think I've actually watched it at all, now that I think about it. But I've heard people...
I don't think I've read it all the way through, to be honest. I have it on my bookshelf. I haven't read it all the way through.
I definitely haven't read it. I can say that with certainty. I want to say that might have been one of my lists in DC Universe in Infinite. Not a sponsor, just saying, because they're going to come up again later on in the show anyway.
Of course.
But yeah.
Right, not as useful a tool as the other Unlimited. We'll put it
to
that
some
way.
You know, I mean, it will find it has its moments. I think it for some, like that, for more DC leaning people, probably more so, I would say.
Right.
But then again, those people probably have most of that stuff, because I know I got a good bit myself on the defunct Comixology, but still. Anywho, yeah, I don't know. I've seen people kind of grousing about this, probably rightly so. It was like, this probably should not be a thing that should be a television show. But also, you can also point to Watchmen as, you know, as something else that probably didn't necessarily need it, but apparently turned out to be a good show adaptation, not the movie. But
Right, because the Watchmen show was not a strict adaptation.
Right. So, and I'm sure this is probably, especially since it's going to be on HBO, this is also probably not, you know, I don't think this is going the same way as The Boys being on Amazon, as someone has said. But yeah, we'll see. Next up, though, Jennifer Dodge named president of Paramount Animation, according to Deadline. So she starts at Paramount on January 5th, joining after nearly 9 years at Paw Patrol franchise producer Spin Master. Now that makes a whole lot of sense. I don't know, you know. She takes over the role following Ramsey Naito's recent exit and will now oversee all operations of the animation group, from development to release, guiding the studio's creative and strategic vision across its animated film slates. Okay. Next up.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit 2 gets an exciting update from its creator. After 37 years. 37 years!
Okay.
I'm too old for this shit.
You sound like you were doing a Clerks reference there for a second. Or was it Mallrats? One of the two. I think it might have been wrong.
Right. I haven't watched that movie in ages or rewatched that movie in ages.
The way you said it, though, it just sounded just like that. Y'all know the reference. Some of y'all know the reference I'm talking about. Anyway.
Oh, my God. Who Framed Roger Rabbit will finally get a sequel. It just won't be at Disney. So in a recent interview with I'mNotBad.com, my goodness, I don't mean to give them a plug, but that's an incredible name.
Mm-hmm.
It's a website dedicated exclusively to Jessica Rabbit news. I'm like, really?
There's a lot of those. Yeah. There's a lot of those, but yeah.
Right. Author Gary K. Wolfe revealed that he quietly reacquired the rights to Roger Rabbit last year. He now has back the rights to all of his characters, all of the books. He can basically do his own Roger Rabbit projects. He was able to reclaim ownership through the 35-year copyright reversion clause.
I'm too old for this shit.
Which gives original creators the ability to reclaim rights to their original work after a period of 35 years. The author shared that the process was pretty straightforward, as Disney did not try and stop the rights reversal from happening.
That's kind of something in itself.
Say again?
I said that kind of says something in itself, but keep going.
Oh, of course. There are several implications you can take, from that. With Wolf's characters back in his domain, the author is planning to reintroduce audiences to Roger Rabbit and the rest of Toontown through several different projects. Let's see. So first up, he wants to do a live-action Jessica Rabbit movie based on the book Jessica Rabbit: Serious Business. There's still no studios or production companies involved with those plans yet, but the author noted that he would love to work with Disney again. So, what? Listen, it doesn't hurt to have like the big muscle on your side.
Yeah, but true. But if Disney was really, going back to what I just said, if Disney was really wanting to, make that okay, they did do some stuff in the past, but not as, they're not doing like they do with Pixar and like, yeah, you got to do sequels, even though you said you weren't going to do sequels again. They weren't really clamoring to do any Robert Rabbit stuff in the past 35 years.
I was about to say, speaking of Pixar, you know that you saw a trailer drop this week, right?
For Toy Story 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That's another one where I'm like,
I'm too old for this shit.
Which is the other reason why I brought that point up, because originally Pixar was like, no, we're not doing any sequels, and then here we are with 5 Toy Stories.
Because they were acquired.
I know, right? I know. It's Disney's fault, but still, yeah. And Disney said, shovel that coal. But at least I guess at some point we get another Incredibles out of here, even though we're not, didn't necessarily need that. But hey, but back on point, hey, good on dude for getting his getting the rights back to his stuff. But also 35 years is a crazy amount of time for that to be the case. Like, I know copyright laws are weird and crazy, and Disney did not do anything to help in a lot of that.
Right.
But that's a long time. But anyway, like I said, we'll see what we see when we see it. Yeah. Next up, though, brace yourselves, folks. In another "Why is this a thing?" Type deal, Phil Johnston set to pen live-action Viewmaster movie from Mattel Studios. A Escape Artist. Thank you very much. Viewmaster. Do kids even know what Viewmaster is? I know they still make them, but like the only thing I can see for a treatment for that thing is like you put yourself up to it and then you get isekai'd into another world or something magically, like a Jumanji type situation. That's the only thing I can see. Maybe he can come up with something that's whatever. Or maybe it's going to be like a They Live thing. It's like you look through them and it's and you see aliens or something. I don't know, but That's just dumb to me. I don't know. Maybe we'd even be watching it. But then again, people thought a Minecraft movie was dumb. And technically it probably still is, but at least it's Minecraft. That has an established thing. Viewmaster. Also, I don't know if... Wait, are you stuck like... Is your face stuck like that, or are you...
No, my mouth is open because I already jumped to the next story.
Sure that was you doing that and not the picture got stuck or something.
I literally am like reading the next story with my mouth like agape.
Well, let's get into the next story, shall we? And that is... Actually, I put this in him for him, by the way, folks. We're getting over into some anime corner.
Oh my goodness. I mean... So Crunchyroll has now locked down is their terminology. Crunchyroll has now locked down one of anime's best English dubs after it had gone missing for a bit, and now fans can check it out and see what they might have been missing so far. English dubs are often a divisive subject among anime fans, as there has been a past of poor planning and dubbing.
True.
But that's no longer the case, apparently. English dubs have been firing on all cylinders and still remain as the preferred way to watch anime for an entire new generation of anime fans coming up through the world, you lazy young blankety blanks.
I mean, it is true. I can safely say dubs are way better than they used to be. And yes, there are some people who prefer dubs because I can't 100% side with what Agent 70 just said, but I'm not also denying that that's not the case also in cases.
Right. No, I get it. You know, so Haikyuu's English dub release is one of the best anime dubs out there today. That at least is the opinion of the writer.
Right.
It's been caught in a strange licensing limbo across multiple streaming services and formats. Crunchyroll has announced that they are now streaming the English dubs for the anime's first 2 seasons. The rest of the offerings still come with just Japanese audio and English subtitles, but it's still a big step forward considering that the dubs for these seasons have been missing from streaming services for quite a while. I mean,
how?
That's huge. Listen, they said licensing.
You're right. I know, but still, usually it's like the stuff, like it says, usually it's locked up. Like, I'm trying to figure out what happened with this one where it wasn't locked down as opposed to a lot of stuff around it that just gets almost instantly done. Or instantly hashed out, I should say.
Just weird, man.
Yeah,
just
very much weird.
Right. So just very quickly, the Haikyuu is coming to an end in theaters with Haikyuu versus the Little Giant. A release window for the last Haikyuu movie has yet to be announced as of the time of this article.
Mm-hmm. So, which means if you've been keeping score, Agent 70 has watched Haikyuu a number of times. Heaven forbid he watches the Avatar Last Airbender just once. But anyway, and I don't know, and we already know that Agent 70 is a staunch sub supporter, I'm not mad at him at that also, but also I suspect I'm saying all that to say that I wonder if he's going to actually try.
I'm going to give this a try.
I'm going to
give this a try just because I'm curious to hear what the voices sound like and how, what might change, because I am, to kind of echo what Roddykat said, I've watched Haikyuu enough to watch Haikyuu with subs almost as background because I know what's happening. I can tell what's happening by what's being said, even though I am not fluent in Japanese or even conversational in Japanese. I can just tell. It's a sports manga. It's a sports anime. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of see, you could just take a glance at the screen and see who they're playing, what they're doing, and you can kind of guess what's going on and just let the action flow, right?
Yeah.
But with the English dub, that's definitely going to change the experience because it'll turn into far more of an easier experience as background noise, but still letting the dialogue wash over you and just kind of keeping an ear out for what changes, what subtle, acting cues you might pick up on when you're listening to it. That's what I'm kind of looking forward to.
Right.
Because I've seen YouTube clips of the English dub.
Okay.
Very short ones, but I'm curious to hear what like full episodes sound like and what their voices sound like.
Gotcha. What was I going to say? And about if you're like me, I will have both on. Well, yeah, I will have both on technically, meaning subtitles, like the English subtitles and the English or the Japanese on, because I'll have subtitles on either way.
Well, listen, post-pandemic, I think I always want to have my subtitles on regardless, but sometimes, when I'm watching regular TV, I can't, I don't want to mess with the settings or whatever.
Right.
But I definitely prefer having subs on even with English dialogue.
Right. There's even a case for subs with the audio cues in them, like some places are doing now, or more places are doing now, which is kind of cool.
Right. Netflix does a good job with their audio cues.
Mm-hmm. So
there's like a whole running gag about what they choose to or how they choose to describe things in audio format.
It's kind of cool like that though. But anyway, so stay tuned for that. And again, part of this is kind of nothing new. It's just so happened to be Haikyuu, and we know Agent 70's affinity with that. But also, because I know there for a fact that there are anime out there that like, yeah, and it depends on how new it is or not. Because, sometimes the English dubs don't get there right away. The Japanese dubs are there, and then the English dubs come later at some point. Not that terribly much later, but probably about a month or two later, whatever it'll be,
Listen, I'm going to fire up Crunchyroll right now and just take a look to see what's available.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, I guess, I don't know if it's out there now for that, but.
It probably should be.
I don't, yeah, maybe, if they have it already hashed out and going, but I don't think I've seen anything from Crunchyroll saying, hey, it's out there. So, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, you check, go ahead and check. But I was going to have you do these next two.
Oh, well, I got two more coming up. Hold on. Oh, okay. All right, here we go. All right. Finishing out the category.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Anime news. K-pop Demon Hunters nabs 5 Grammy nominations. The Recording Academy announced the full list of nominees for the 86th Annual Grammy Awards on Friday, and Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters received 4 nominations, including the highly coveted Song of the Year. The overall soundtrack is also nominated for Best Compilation Soundtrack for Visual Media. Written by EJ and Mark Sonnenblick, Golden became the breakout hit of the Sony animated film after debuted on Netflix earlier this year, spending months on the Billboard charts and going platinum in addition to earning a nomination for Song of the Summer at the MTV Video Music Awards. Now it's up for 4 categories at the 2026 Grammys: Song of the Year, Best Pop Duo Group Performance, and Best Song Written for Visual Media, with the David Guetta remix receiving a nomination for Best Remixed Recording.
Of course.
So yeah, it's it's pretty. That was pretty good news to hear when that came across my newsfeed.
Mm-hmm. I was about to say, and actually, it was going to be 3, but I'll let you off the hook with that. The one after that, this next one.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Let's see. So, in vaguely negative news, K-pop Demon Hunters was ruled ineligible for BAFTAs. So, while still being eligible for Oscars. So, the animated film has been ruled ineligible by the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, despite a formal appeal by Netflix, Variety confirmed. BAFTA eligibility rules require films to have a qualifying theatrical release. However, under exceptional circumstances, the film committee may allow entries that have been made available to the UK public through other distribution models such as event cinema. Netflix appealed under that particular clause, and BAFTA's film committee rejected the appeal, stating that the film did not meet the eligibility criteria. Specifically, the film failed to achieve the minimum requirement of at least 10 commercial screenings in the UK for at least 7 days in aggregate. That's all they needed, and they couldn't do that. You had one job, Netflix.
Well,
but but this is BAFTA. These were UK theaters. That's what they needed to focus on to get BAFTA. Haters. To get BAFTA nominations.
Also, some blame can be laid at the foot of Sony for not doing right in the first place, because they didn't have any faith in the product. But BAFTA was hating. Anyway, we are going to get over into the manga news. We don't necessarily need a sound effect, though. My Hero Academia confirms manga comeback as anime's final season continues. So, yeah, we know the eighth season of My Hero Academia is ongoing, coming. One of the two, I can't remember.
Ongoing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I wish I could stop this. But apparently, My Hero Academia team-up missions first started in 2019, presenting original stories that featured various heroes of the series teaming up to tackle unique challenges. So they guess they had their own Marvel team-up, huh? Cool. While the spinoff wasn't created by Kohei Horikoshi, the series found success under the watchful eye of Yoko Akiyama. Team-up missions continued Class 1A's journey following the end of the main series, releasing its final chapter earlier this year. But in a final surprising twist, a new special one-shot that will take us back into the world of the spin-off is being planned to be released next month in the pages of Saikyu Jump. Hitting the stands on December 4th, the story of this new chapter has yet to be revealed, but this article's writer is crossing their fingers that it brings back every member of Class 1A following the previous series finale. So, if you're wanting to get your grubby little hands on more My Hero manga, hey, hit your import shops after the 4th, I guess. Or your digital places of note, whichever one comes first. Next up.
I just checked my Crunchyroll. Haikyuu is still not available in English.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
But I'm betting it's probably going to be very soon. It's probably going to be very soon because this article was published a week ago, so it should be up there now, to be perfectly honest.
Mm-hmm.
It should be up there now, but maybe it's one of those things where I just have to let it reload or let the app reload.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, next up, get back to the news. Jujutsu Kaisen sequels finally confirmed.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. Finally confirms the status of Yuji Itadori. So this article contains spoilers from the Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo manga. Not good, because I'm following along with just anime. Let's see. So Modulo reveals somebody's alive, but there's a catch, and that's all I'm gonna say because I'm trying to stay relatively spoiler free.
Yeah. As folks tend to do. That's why we like putting spoiler tags on things.
Yep.
But yeah, hang on 1 second, and I will get to the next story because there was something I just remembered that I wanted to bring up. This will all get edited out. There we go. All right. There's that. Avatar the Last Airbender Team Avatar Treasury Omnibus is going to be out there soon. The publication date is November 11th of this year, and excuse me. The 3 books that are going to be in this omnibus are Avatar: The Last Airbender, Katara and the Pirate Silver, Toph's Metal Bending Academy, and The Last Airbender, Suki Alone. So these are stories of the ladies of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So there you go. And it looks like, I'm assuming they all were written by Faith Erin Hicks, along with Brian Konietzko and Michael Dante DiMartino, the creators of Avatar, artist Peter Wartman, colorist Adele Matera, and lettering by Richard Starkings and Comic Crafts Jimmy Betancourt. So there you go. And again, like I said, November 11th, so that's actually out already, and the price is $29.99. So if you're a fan and you're interested in that, go check it out. Next up.
1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Just get some scrolling in. Scroll. All right, Masters of the Universe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles of Grayskull trade paperback. Published by Dark Horse. Waiting for it to load at darkhorse.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's still loading. Buckle up for the team up of a lifetime with the Masters of the Universe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles of Grayskull. So this collects Masters of the Universe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles of Grayskull number 1 through 4, written by Tim Seeley with art by Freddie E. Williams II, colored by Andrew Dollhouse, lettered by And World Design. This was published November 11th with in full color with 120 pages, trade paperback, priced at $19.99. Go out and get it today.
Yeah, this was I don't remember reading the end of this of that collab, but I did read it, and it was interesting. We had a little bit of a slightly depressed He-Man going on in this, and also this is the stuff where a lot of Freddie E. Williams comes into play, because he has done a lot of these those Turtle crossovers, or crossovers specifically, but a lot of the Turtles crossovers he's done. That's why I guess it makes sense that he is on the Turtles book proper now, so with his art style. Next up, though, Heaven, West Virginia is a powerful graphic novel about grief and healing. So let's see. IGN has an exclusive debut of this graphic novel, which is, written by Ravi Texera, and is being published by Oni Press. And the text is, or at least the logline is, when Lamont arrives in the tiny Appalachian town of Heaven, West Virginia, his lost landscape feels stubbornly at odds with the rolling anxiety, there's a typo there, that comes to define his inner life. Living there and learning the art of foraging and tea making, ding, from his kind, stoic aunt Latoya should be idyllic, in even a paradise. But in the shadows of Heaven's woods, Lamont sees a dark, hulking figure, long, glimmering teeth, and piercing eyes. No one else seems to see this beast. And it goes on from there. So, apparently, Lamont Poe. I keep thinking of this one little line from Sanford and Son that I'm desperately trying not to say, and it's not "you big dummy," but anyway, if anything I just said, appeals to you, you can check out that. It isn't Heaven, West Virginia isn't available in the stores now. You can order from Amazon, apparently, according to this article. They are a sponsor, but I'm just saying. There you go. Next up.
Sorry to circle back to the Haikyuu Crunchyroll news, because of course I am. Crunchyroll themselves published a news article saying that they were now streaming in English dub.
Oh, so they did put out an article. Okay, I didn't see
They absolutely did.
Okay.
Dated November 6th. So not sure why it's not popping up on my feed right away, when I pull it up. But, once the show's over, I'll have a chance to mess with it and see. Right. Probably tomorrow sometime. All right, what am I up to?
We are deeply into comic book news with Marvel and DC.
Marvel and DC join forces again for the Flash, Fantastic Four, and Thor Shazam crossovers. We talked about it earlier. These were published as whatchamacallit?
One shots.
No. They were digital comics, right? Yes. Digital in the vertical scroll format.
Mm-hmm.
So Thor Shazam is available on Marvel Unlimited, and Flash Fantastic Four is available on DC. What the heck is the
DC Universe?
What are they called? DC Universe. Thank you. Infinite. DC Universe Infinite. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Not a problem. Yeah, and actually on that note, so if you have an account with them, not necessarily a paid account with them, again, they are not a sponsor, but you can read that DC Marvel Flash Fantastic Four one for free.
Yes, it is available on the app.
Yes.
You do not have to be a subscriber, but you obviously need to create an account just to open it.
Correct. So therein lies that. And they do have some other free stuff, but that in particular of this, you can check it out. I checked, and I don't think you can do that with, well, you might be able to, I don't know, but I'm logged in, so I don't know. You may be able to do that with the Marvel Unlimited one, but I don't know with the Thor Shazam, but I'm not sure.
Right.
But anywho, so yeah, those are out there. Like I was saying, it was kind of weird that they were digital first. I assume at some point they were probably going to get, they're going to get physical prints, I would assume, or at the very least collected at some point. So we'll see. Next up, though, S.H.I.E.L.D. returns in the next chapter of Chip Zdarsky and Valerio Schitti's Captain America. So yeah, this begins the road to Armageddon, which we talked about last week. That Zdarsky's doing that Armageddon event. Let's see. So at last week's Luca Comics and Games Festival, Marvel Comics editor-in-chief C.B. Cebulski and writer Chip Zdarsky revealed major news for one of Marvel's biggest ongoing titles, Captain America. Beginning in issue 6 this January, the next arc will deliver a seismic shift for Steven Rogers and the wider Marvel Universe, making the long-awaited return of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is kind of funny because I feel like we just talked about the fact that they weren't around properly. Drawn by Valerio Schiti with guest artists Delio Diaz and Frank Alpizar. The new storyline moves the series into present day and lays the groundwork for next summer's massive Armageddon event, also penned by Zdarsky. Following the fallout from One World of the Doom, Cap finds himself caught in the chaos of a crumbling Latveria, torn apart by civil unrest after the fall of Doctor Doom and a brutal strike by Thunderbolt Ross. Spoiler alert? Kinda, maybe not. I don't know. It's weird because the One World of the Doom. Because wait, did we get the last issue of that? I don't think we did.
No, it's not. It's not finished yet.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, and the fact that the Captain America stuff is kind of already blended in there, that's weird and funny. But hey, there you go. You see the cover right there if you're watching the video version. And you see some concept art for the new S.H.I.E.L.D., a smaller, leaner, almost Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. type situation.
Right.
Also, still weird that Red Widow is on the side of good, as we have not known her to be in the past, or have not, put it that way. But
right.
Anyway, next up, unless you had something to say about it.
No. I read an article on it, and I was like, well, we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, indeed.
Alrighty. But, what made me laugh when I read it was how long they've kept S.H.I.E.L.D. basically on the bench.
Right.
Since Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
roughly.
That's true, huh?
Roughly, yeah. They roughly parallel the MCU.
Yeah.
I don't think it was exactly the same time, but we can use very rough dates, and it's roughly been since around the time of Winter Soldier or soon after. So that's been a while.
And Agents of Shield was still kind of around for even slightly after that, but it was just they were kind of offering their own thing because of what happened.
Exactly.
So,
Alrighty.
weird.
Next up, Captain America debuts as a Player 2 variant Marvel Legends figure in the Kith, believe it or not, the Kith Marvel collaboration. It features an alternate green colorway inspired by his Marvel vs. Capcom 2 video game appearance. It includes a Kith branded shield, an alternate head, hands, attack effect, and custom retro packaging. Kith exclusive releases November 14th, 2025 online. That's today. Alongside a Player 2 Wolverine figure in a Player 2 variant that's yellow and gold and brown.
Mm-hmm. I was going to, and I'm still going to pretty much make the joke that this is HydraCap, but it's not. I know it's not, but
right.
It's almost
you already have
there.
HydraCap, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost there. The coloring is not green enough, and there's not enough yellow. But yeah, and seeing Captain America in green, I'm just gonna immediately go to HydraCap.
Yeah, seriously.
Next up, though. Also, I'm not sure what Kith is. But anyway,
it's a fashion brand.
Okay, sure.
I was about to say, Eclectic is big into Kith.
Is he?
Shout out to Eclectic. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to E. Okay. Next up, though, Marvel. Hasbro reissues the Marvel 85th anniversary Marvel Legends Wolverine figure. So wait, did we do, or did I? Or maybe it's the next one. Or I thought I had it in here. Maybe I don't.
No, there's a bunch of Hasbro reissued a bunch of Marvel Legends.
Right, because I sent
some
you
of
one
them
of them.
sold. Some of them have already sold out the pre-order. So we'll get to those stories in a second.
Yeah, I think so, because I'm not sure if I have the one that I sent you in specifically in there, but as I thought I did. But either way, it's probably going to be referenced. So yeah, the Marvel Legends series of Wolverine 85th anniversary one. If you're watching the video version, you can see that there's a classic picture of them with a.
Yeah, this is the astonishing Wolverine. Mm-hmm. This is the astonishing X-Men Wolverine. This is the whatchamacallit, the John Cassidy and Joss Whedon book.
Mm-hmm. Yep, as you can see them on the they have them posed in the cover from the first issue with Cyclops and Emma Frost right there. If you're watching the video version, but you can also see them in various other poses. So there's the stuff. Let's see, what is this? $27.99. The reissue is available for pre-order now and will ship in April 2026. And we will go to the next news, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now because I'm not sure if I have it in there. I don't think I do. Darn. But there was also a reissue of the Captain America one, 85th anniversary one.
Yep.
To which I like I said, I thought I put it in there, but I don't seem to have. So it'll be in the show notes later on.
Thankfully, I got that. I got both this Wolverine and the Captain America the first time around.
Right.
Getting to figures that I was not able to get the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Hasbro Marvel Legends series Savage, Silver Surfer, Ms. Marvel, Warbird, and Power Princess reissue figures. Pre-order came and basically went on November 10th. So the Silver Surfer is still available on Hasbro Pulse. I was late to get to Hasbro Pulse, and I was not able to get the Power Princess reorder on Pulse, but Warbird was still available. But I was able to get both of them on Big Bad Toy Store.
Okay.
Right? But I was very annoyed that that Power Princess the pre-order sold out so quickly, because it went on at 1 p.m. and I think I was able to log in like an hour late just because I was at work.
Mm-hmm. Well, somebody's gonna have their Squadron Supreme in order.
Yes.
So.
Yes, because once like now that once you secure Power Princess, it's you can get the other Squadron Supreme characters fairly quickly.
Also, where is this Silver Surfer from? This is not from Silver Surfer Black. Not Silver Surfer. What was that one? Was that
It is.
Is it?
It is where it's like a future where he's wielding Mjolnir.
Okay, I don't remember reading the rest of that book. I remember starting to read it, but I don't remember finishing it. So
Same.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's Silver Surfer Black.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, because I know
one of those future stories,
right? Because I know he was indeed. He ended up being black in that, but I don't know if that was actually the name of the book or not.
Right. I may be wrong. It may be a different book, but it's a similar type of story.
Right. But here they call it the Savage Silver Surfer, which I do remember he was having some emotional balance issues, let's say.
Right.
Anyway, next up, so we could kind of speed this along. This is kind of cool. I would almost be up for this one. Hasbro Marvel Legends series Giant Man and the Wasp 2-pack reissue. Pre-order coming. Well, actually, it's already here. Because this was from yesterday, the 13th. So, like I said, I almost went looking for this because I'm like, you know what? Don't have a Giant Man and a Wasp, but I would want. Actually, no, because I think there's another version of Wasp that is out, and I think I might have that one. And this is the original classic version of Wasp for those that may or may not know. And of course Hank Pym Giant Man.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's a nice Wasp figure.
It is.
Not that you need like a million versions of Hank Pym, but those are nice, and you get a little miniature Quinjet too.
Yes, that is right. Yep. They get a couple of heads, couple of hands, a Quinjet, the Wasp's wings, whatever this other stuff is on the side. Probably her Biosting accoutrement, whatever. Or bioelectric stings. That's a beaker. Okay. There you go. No slaps included. Next up. Although I'm sure somebody's probably going to be. Somebody's going to be. Somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to do it.
He's stupid. Oh my goodness.
Because they still try to bury that too, also. But.
Marvel Rivals Season 5 channels X-Men animated series as Gambit and Rogue join as playable characters. NetEase Games has published an X-Men animated series inspired trailer for Marvel Rivals Season 5. They're up to Season 5. I don't know how this video game stuff works. Love is a Battlefield, revealing Rogue and Gambit as its newest playable characters. The trailer for the latest season of NetEase's popular hero shooter features a romance theme that puts everyone's favorite X-Men couple center stage. Okay.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy for the people that like Marvel Rivals. I don't. It's not me. Sorry. But good on them. But people.
I tried playing it. I just couldn't. I just couldn't stick with it. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I don't care for Overwatch, and this is an Overwatch type situation, and so I was like, man, if it wasn't that, I would probably be all over it. That's why I got Marvel Heroes.
There you go.
To ease my pain. And that's not even official anymore. Anyway, Marvel Token Fighting Souls official second closed trailer happened recently at the State of Play, PlayStation's State of Play. Whatever. And also with the announcement of a second closed beta for the PS5. I tried to get in there. I don't think I did, but it'll be out at some point soon. I believe the closed beta is going to have a couple of more characters added to the roster. If I'm not mistaken, I think Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider, being one of them. And there's the X-Mansion as a stage. If you're watching the video version, you can kind of see that right there. Which sounds like there might be a little bit more to the stage than just than it just being the stage. So yeah, If I ever get a chance to play this thing before it gets so the upcoming second closed beta will run from December 5th to the 7th and feature new maps to battle alongside with the reveal of Spider-Man and Ghost Rider's fighters, like I said. Yeah, there you go. So, you still have a chance to try to get into it before that happened. If you're certain, but most of the people that I know that are going to be in it are probably going to be in it, and most of the people are already FGC adjacent, so I'm sure they're going to get their hands on it anyway. And that's Anyway, next up, you are muted.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I'm a little under the weather, folks. So when it comes to clearing the sinuses, blowing your nose, you gotta mute your mic.
Yeah.
There's some really cool animations here in this trailer for the whatchamacallit, the closed beta.
Yeah.
So that's incredible looking stuff.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same.
I'm looking forward to it. It's to be announced in 2026. Hopefully, it's not too far away.
Oh yeah, no,
hopefully it's not 2026 Christmas. That would suck. There's a chance.
There is a chance, yes, I will say. But I think that, there are signs at this point that are pointing to possibly summerish. Probably won't, maybe even in time for Evo. I don't know. I doubt it. But I think they might have said even after Evo. But being that people have had hands on it at the last Evo and the state of what is in now, and they got the second closed beta, it could be fairly relatively soon. Because usually they only do a couple of closed betas and then they'll do an open one. So probably early next year. It could very well be.
Let's hope.
Yeah. So
let's hope.
Next up.
All right. Next up, Hasbro unveils a new Transformer Stranger Things crossover with Frequency and 8-Tracks figures. Frequency transforms from a 6-inch robot into the WSQK van from Stranger Things Season 5 in 16 steps. 8-Tracks switches from an 8-track tape to a mechanical hawk, while a chicken accessory converts to a blaster. This exclusive Target set is available for pre-order at $57.99 and releases in June 2026 with themed packaging. Because the next and final season of Stranger Things is releasing in phases. That's why this is all timed to coincide with that stuff. And ultimately, Stranger Things is going to come out, with like a theatrical release for some parts of it, and some of it's going to be on Netflix. It's just wacky.
Milk that as much as you can coming out of it. That's what it spells like. That being said, we're one more step closer to a Shredhead figure.
Yes.
for Von Gloom. Also, the gun is a rubber chicken. That's wild.
Where's Gonzo?
Right. I mean, he likes live chicken, so he gets his freak in. But anyway, that's out there if you're into it. Normally, I like these collaborations, but I'm not into Stranger Things enough to go for this one. But yeah, $57.99, June 2026. Catch it. Next up, though, 10 years later, Gundam's darkest anime mecha makes a comeback with a new Bandai release. So that means more Gunpla, folks. And this is from Iron-Blooded Orphans. Wow, it's been 10 years since Iron-Blooded Orphans. Jeez. The Metal Robot Spirits Gundam Marchosius is now available to order online, and it expertly, according to this article, recreates the mecha's appearance in Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans Erd Hunt. I'm going to say that's probably a manga and not the actual anime one, I guess. I don't know. Laden with extreme detail, accessories, and even extra limbs, it embodies a regal, luxurious aesthetic that the Metal Robot Spirits line is known for. There's even a cape to drape it in, making Marchosius perhaps the most elegant Gundam collectible ever, according to this article. Let's see, $300 from Premium Bandai's website, and expected to ship out June 2026. And there it is. Next up,
Mattel launched K-pop Demon Hunters fashion doll collection. Mattel began pre-sales for a fashion doll collection based on the Netflix animated film K-pop Demon Hunters. The dolls were available exclusively through Mattel Creations starting on November 12th at 9 a.m. PST. The collection recreates the character's finale appearance, outfits from the film including weapons, fabrics, and styled hair. Shipping is scheduled to begin in fall 2026. The cost was $150 plus tax. Did I get one? Did I get a set? Of course I did.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. I got it in name for my niece, but who knows what these fickle little kids will want to do. She's going to be old enough to appreciate like an expensive collectible, right? That's the thing. Mm-hmm. By the time this gets around, she'll be old enough to appreciate, but will she want it? Because, you know, it may have faded from her memory, from her consciousness.
That's what I was saying last week. That's what I'm saying last week.
Right? So at the end of the day, I got one just so, you know, if she likes it, if she wants it, fine. If not, that's going into my space.
I would say that's a collectible you have until you want to sell it on eBay. If should that be the case, or just in general,
exactly.
I don't know, keep it for yourself.
Exactly.
But yeah, we talked about, you know, we already knew that they were getting into the tour business, and like once again, no duh, but
right. These are I believe like some of the fancier ones because I think they're going to make more retail oriented figures.
Right. These are
Barbie style dolls. Right.
Right.
These are like the fancier collectible ones.
Right. These are basically one step up from Barbies.
Right.
So, but I'm sure those are coming out on that Barbie line or something there.
Oh no, they'll be coming out very soon. That's my guess. Mm-hmm. They're going to miss the boat on the Christmas season, but they're going to be, you know, I'm sure they're going to have like swimsuit edition and battle edition and all these other versions coming out over the course of the next year.
Oh yeah. All right. And lastly, folks, some sad news. The official Star Wars magazine is coming to an end after over 30 years. Cues Darth Vader's no, or not. I don't know.
I was about to say I gotta pull that one up, but I've also got this one. No.
Nice. So yeah, I don't think I've read Star Wars Inside. I've seen a couple of issues, definitely, but I don't think I was ever just avidly like I'm just going to get the fan magazine of X, Y, and Z. But so yeah, as of November 10th, Lucasfilm confirmed the news, explaining that Insider will wrap up its print run with issue 237, set to launch early in 2026. The magazine's 235th issue, a celebration of The Force Awakens' 10th anniversary, is set to release in December. Quote, Insider has been a big part of my Star Wars experience for a very long time, both as a fan and professionally. This is from the editor of Star Wars Insider, Christopher Cooper, who said in a statement, "It's been an honor to explore the galaxy far, far away with our readers during my 8-year tenure, but publishing has changed immeasurably," that's an understatement, "since the Lucasfilm Fan Club magazine, and we live in an increasingly digital age, which sadly means that this chapter in Star Wars Insider's history is coming to an end." You hate to see print go out like that, but it has been in decline drastically for years at this point, sadly. And then it goes into the history of the magazine and yada yada yada. So yeah. It won't be around the year after next for its 50th anniversary, but yeah, therein lies that. Wait, for Star Wars' 50th anniversary? Doesn't seem right. Oh yes, it does. Hold on. Quick math. Anyway, yeah. So. Yes, because it came out in 1977. What am I thinking? Anyway, that's some sad news to go out on, but nevertheless, we are going to go out on that. So can we get one last ad read?
All righty, our last ad read of the night. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment. It helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
As Agent 7's voice gets slightly gruffer and it's getting very late, we're going to fastly get it out of here very quickly by saying, hey, folks, we'll be back next week for another exciting episode of this here Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host of Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at News Nerds Need and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, all of that. You can also find this here podcast on the Coastal of the Podcast Network, that's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
You can find this t-shirt I got on my body. Just kidding. You can find us recording, though, every Thursday night, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, but probably more closer to 10 o'clock, let's be honest. Come on.
We try not to, but it happens.
It happens more times than we care to admit. But yes, youtube.com/TheKliqNation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts. Hit that notification button on YouTube and Twitch so you know that when we are on live.
And I actually glossed over the fact that I said you can find us on your podcast browser place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal of the Podcast Network SoundCloud page, but just shovel that all there in there. There
you go.
All right, folks, we're out here. We will be back next Thursday, Comic Gods willing. But this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
And knowing is half the battle.